First of all, thanks everybody for joining us. This webinar is about social media, and my guest today is Rita Zamora. Rita is a long-term friend of mine. I met her through the dental industry, oh God, it's probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And she's really become known as dentistry social media expert. And she's spoken at a multitude of dental conferences on this topic. And she's literally wrote the book for dentists who are interested in social media, which is available for purchase on ritazamora.com or on Amazon. There's the book. There you go. Good product placement. Oh. When she's not working with clients, many of which are mutual clients of ours, you can find her out hiking in Colorado amongst the wildlife and enjoying the beauty here in what is it? Centennial State, the Silver State? Can't remember our motto.
Colorful Colorado.
Colorful Colorado. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
So Rita, welcome and thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Oh yeah, it's our pleasure. So the first question that I wanted to ask you is, how does social media fit into a practice's marketing plan? And when you answer that, I think I know a lot of practices just have trouble getting out of bed, so to speak, and getting started with social media. So can you talk about the bare minimum time investment that they're going to have to make?
Mm-hmm. Well, and we'll dive into this a little bit deeper about how much time you need to invest, because there's a lot of different ways that you can handle social media successfully for a dental practice today, whether you're doing it yourself or doing it with some help or totally outsourcing, and you can be successful at all of those. So we'll look at some concrete examples of what that looks like with some visuals here in a few minutes. But the way that social media fits in with your overall marketing plan, it's really become more than just a marketing tool right now. So I really want to emphasize that it's become a humongous communication tool. So we can think of it in terms of fitting into our marketing plan. I always used to describe it as multiple pieces of online real estate. You need to have your website, your Google My Business profile, and then, all of your other digital pieces of real estate like social media, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. But now it's also such a huge communication tool. So it's an important part of your marketing plan and your marketing strategy, but also just a big communication tool for your practice.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a couple alternate communication methods, especially today when the urgency to communicate with patients about closing or reopening or new rules is much more relevant. What about time commitment? How much time does a practice, if they want to do, the minimum effective dose, so to speak, of social media, what do they need to budget for time commitment?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the minimum effective dose depends on, again, whether you're outsourcing fully or doing it yourself. So I think, I would say, 2 to 3 hours a month is a rough estimate. And if you're fully outsourcing, you might only need to spend, 30 minutes taking photos or, repurposing video snippets or things like that. Some people might spend, a lot more time than that if they're doing all their social media themselves, if they have multiple locations, if they're, heavily involved in social media and they enjoy it, they might be spending, a day or two a month on their social media. What we're going to talk about today is a blend, a program where you can do social media with us, for example, and we call it Connect 90, 90 meaning 90 minutes a month is what we have really evaluated and determined is the minimum amount of time that you need to spend to personalize your content and place a couple of boosts and really invest a little bit of time to personalize it so that it's effective for you.
And is that 90 minutes, does that have to be all the dentists or can that be alternate members of the staff?
Mm-hmm. It's usually, occasionally it'll be the dentist, but most often it's the office manager, a treatment coordinator. We work with a lot of dental spouses as well that are, working the business side of the practice for their dentist spouse. So.
Okay, perfect. Now, on the topic of saving time, we've always encouraged clients to save a little time and effort by reusing some of the content that they're posting to their website onto social media. And we've built integrations into our website platform to push stuff to like Facebook and Twitter. So in the type of content I've always suggested people share were blog posts, videos the dentist has made explaining services, even before and after cases. Is there any adjustments to that advice that you'd recommend, or anything else that you would add?
Mm-hmm. I think those are all great ideas. I love all of those suggestions and recommendations. The only thing I would add to it is to think in terms of snack size. So we all have a lot of content that we sometimes will share one time, and I hear dentists say this all the time, and they're like, well, we already shared that. And if you look at their editorial calendar or look at their social media, you're like, okay, you last shared about clear aligner therapy like 3 months ago. And so it was like one post. So chances are people didn't all see that. So you have to continue to weave those topics into your ongoing strategy, and then think in terms of snack size. So if you have, like, for example, right now, a lot of practices are posting one video about all of the new changes they're implementing, about the new PPE they're wearing and the new processes, or they're writing a long letter and posting it one time. And what you really need to do is keep pulling out little chunks of information, little snack sized tidbits, and sharing that in your content moving forward. It not only gives you more content, but you're informing your patients better, and not everyone's going to come in to see those changes right now. Some people might not be coming in for weeks or months ahead, and so you want to keep reminding them about that.
Have you been to the dentist yet since this all started, just out of curiosity?
Not yet. I'm waiting because I want to get in and get some clear aligner therapy. My friends at OrthoFX promised to hook me up, so I'm waiting to see if there's a provider near me.
Yeah, I'm due. My appointment got punted. I just haven't had any time. So I'm probably going to go in the next couple of weeks. A couple of friends and employees have gone, and it's been a very different experience, but perhaps necessary.
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned was about not everybody might have seen that post 3 months ago, and they may not have seen the post 3 days ago because Facebook and other search engine or social media platforms will have algorithms that don't necessarily share everything you post with everybody who has said they want to follow you. Do you have a sense of like what percentage of people will get the post, or does it really depend?
Yeah, it does depend. It's incredibly low. I thought I read a statistic recently that said like 2% of your audience might see your content, which is like crazy. That's almost nobody. So we have some unique situations going on right now. There was a statistic reported in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago that said Facebook, and it's the Facebook family. So they own Instagram. So Instagram's probably tied in there. But the Facebook family was reporting that their social media usage was up 30%. So that's incredible. And it's interesting because it was up that high on desktop and laptops, not mobile devices. So while people were at home, and as people are, transitioning more to work, we're probably going to see that change a little bit. But yeah, that's something really unique.
Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a little bit easier. I've always found computers easier to use than smartphones, but they're obviously less convenient.
Yeah, a little bit easier on our eyes. And then what was the first part of the question that you asked with that?
I guess so. I guess I just wanted people to be aware that they're not everybody who's subscribed to you or become a fan of your page on social media is necessarily going to see all your posts. So I guess just if you could speak to some of the strategy around that, or things that they should be aware of, and because you mentioned like, oh, it was 3 months ago, so not everybody saw it, but it
yeah.
could be 2 days ago.
Yeah, thank you. So I went down a rabbit hole with that. But so my point being that I think more people are seeing more of your content right now of the last couple of months than they have in the past. But what we found is that you really do have to pay to play. So you got to invest in boosting your posts on Facebook, and that will also apply to Instagram. So if you have your Instagram and Facebook page connected, then whenever you boost a post on Facebook, it's automatically going to share that on Instagram as well. So we found that really effective. Even just a few boosts per month can really help to expand your visibility. So it's just a standard investment that you have to make if you want your content seen on social media today, unless you're on TikTok or something like that. And there's other strategies like hashtags for Instagram. And if you have some unicorn presence and where you have, some really interesting content, you may not need to spend, that that money. You can grow more organically, but even a modest budget of, $50 a month, you
Mhm.
can get significantly better visibility.
So I'm glad you brought up TikTok because I wanted to ask you about this. Because every time I see videos from TikTok, I feel really old. Uh,
If you
and
have good dance skills, you could still do it.
I don't have any dance skills
I
either.
don't
So that's
either.
a double whammy. Um, I don't get it. It feels like the whole thing is around like dance moves from Fortnite, which I do get. Plays like video games. So I know I've seen dentists creating videos on TikTok. I've seen other dentists like slamming this phenomenon of like dentists wanting to be rap stars on social media, and it kind of has a kind of a get off my lawn vibe. But I see both sides. But is TikTok useful? Are dentists embarrassing themselves? Like, is this actually effective for getting patients, or are there some practices that this would work for it, and other practices that this would be a disaster for?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of anything goes on social media now. So when I first started lecturing about social media like 10 years ago, I was talking about how there's things you should do and shouldn't do. And, you know, people have broken all sorts of rules and been successful with it on social media, dental practices included. So I think it can be a great tool for people if you enjoy it. I've seen a lot of dentists, while they were at this, stay at home with the kids the last few weeks, they've been doing their different, dance moves and things like that. And it's not just dancing. I mean, the majority of it is, but there's also just little video snippets and little vignettes and things like that people are doing and having fun with. And so I think if the dentist feels good about it and it's in alignment with their values, at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. If they're doing it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, I don't feel comfortable with this or whatever, then don't post it. And there's other things that you could be doing. So
in general, what do you think the best, if you had to pick just one platform for dentists to focus their time on, especially if they're getting started, would that be Facebook or would that be another medium?
Definitely Facebook. I mean, it's still, the most powerful social media platform. And Instagram, Facebook owns Instagram. It's another incredibly powerful platform as well. And I think you talk to some dentists and they're like, I don't need to do Facebook. It's all about Instagram. And they're, rocking it on Instagram and doing everything on Instagram and not so much on Facebook. So I think we're going to continue to see that as younger dentists mature, and the ones that have grown up with and really grown to love Instagram and not so much Facebook. But Facebook keeps developing new features and they're really powerful with the groups. So Instagram doesn't have groups. And so I think that Instagram is going to remain strong. And so we'll see how it all evolves.
Is there a rough difference in content strategy if you're posting stuff to Facebook and Instagram? I know we typically want people to put images on both. Instagram is primarily image focused, but what's the rough difference in strategy for posting on each of those platforms?
Yeah, I think if you can have unique content on Instagram versus Facebook, that's important. And also taking advantage of all of the different options that Instagram offers. So, you have Instagram stories and there's all sorts of stickers and, little bits of animation and all sorts of different options that you can add. And so I think if you're on Instagram and using all those options, hashtags are a great opportunity. You really have to use your location-based hashtags if you're on Instagram. So it's kind of its own different world. And many practices are just posting the same content to Facebook and Instagram just because they don't really have a lot of time. But if you did really want to invest your time and effort in Instagram, make your content unique there, so that people will still follow you in both places.
Okay. Now we also see all sorts of social media trends, and I've even done them over the years. The ice bucket challenge, the mannequin challenge. It's always a challenge. Not the Tide Pod challenge. That was a bad challenge. But are there any recent trends that have come up that dentists should be aware of and their offices can participate? And how do if dentists are like, I found out about that after it was no longer cool, how do they find out when it is cool? How do they stay on top of these trends?
Yeah, well,
like to high school.
Yeah, it almost takes a village these days, Jeff. I mean, obviously, I mean, there are dentists out there that love Instagram. That's their place. You know, they spend all their time there, and they're keeping up with all of the trends and what's going on, and you know, and or Facebook. And so if you're not that person, if you don't have that person on your team, then it does sort of take a village, because as you and I know, over the years, we've grown our teams, and we've got people that work with us, and there's no way that I could answer every single social media question today, because things are changing all the time. And even with my team, we're like, did you hear about this? They're like, no, that's really awesome, I didn't know about that. So having some sort of a group or a marketing coach like your coaches at Great Dental Websites, or working with someone like us in our program Connect 90, where we have a group that we share those tips with you, is helpful to help keep you informed.
So the solution is hire somebody younger, either on your team or through an outsourced service.
Or someone who enjoys, you know, enjoys this topic, because I think, you know, age is just a number. So if you're interested in the topic, I've been lecturing on this topic now and talking about it and helping practices for a decade now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, we love it.
You're older than most social networks, or you have more experience, I should say, than most social networks.
Yeah.
So let's see. So what's the biggest, what are some of the common challenges that hold a practice back from even getting started on this? I see a lot of procrastination for all sorts of things in marketing to even just get that first post and get the ball rolling. And how do they break that cycle and actually do it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm actually going to be sharing about that in some of my slides here that I'm going to be sharing here in just a minute, because there's three common reasons why practices struggle with it, or are just stuck.
Okay, I don't want to bury the lead, so let me move on to the next question I had. What is, and hopefully you have a couple stories you could share this year. What is the biggest social media failure or just like misunderstanding of the situation or faux pas you see in a dental practice do, where you're just like, oh my God, like I cannot believe they put that up?
Yeah, I actually have examples to show you of some of the biggest, you know, face palm things that I see on a consistent basis. And that, frankly, is what motivated me to create the Connect 90 program, so that we can hopefully eliminate that situation from happening. But it's usually in the form of graphics and content that makes me crazy.
Okay, we'll save that for when I turn the deck review. Then I just have one last question. And what do you suggest for dentists or team members who feel their social media has just become stagnant or repetitive, and they're just running out of ideas? And that may be in your the presentation too, but what would you say to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple of things that you can do. And the first thing is, if you're managing social media internally, or a social media manager, is to start spending a little bit of time on social media looking for inspiration, either in dentistry or outside of dentistry, to start getting some ideas. And you can find those all over Facebook and Instagram, and, you know, find some way to get some inspiration that way. Or look at, you know, again, joining some sort of an organization, like, you know, talking with your Great Dental Websites marketing coach about some ideas, you know, maybe looking at our Connect 90 program, because we provide ideas and inspiration on a consistent basis. Like I said, it kind of takes a village today. So everyone can have a time where they feel like they're maybe burned out, and you need to just take a step back and look at some other resources.
Okay, makes sense. So I think at this point, I want to turn things over to you and have you talk specifically about your service, Connect 90. Now, full disclaimer to the audience, we're a partner of Rita's, and we resell Connect 90 to our clients. And we do this because we evaluated it for a while and everybody loved it. And so we thought this was a great thing to offer to more clients. And we believe in the service. But I just wanted to make that clear. So let me, can you share your screen and kind of go through what you wanted to share with our audience about Connect 90 and how that might help?
I will. And I wanted to let people know, if anybody has questions, we're going to randomly give away 2 copies of my book, Making the Most of Social Media, to 2 random people that happen to ask questions at any time during our program. So let me go ahead and share the screen here.
So we only have one question. So you got a 100% chance of winning Gloria Pascal.
There you go. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen okay.
I can see it.
So yeah, we already got a nice introduction from Jeff about me and what I'm known for. I did just want to share briefly, because some people don't know, they think I'm a marketing person that decided to target dentists, because we see that all the time, Jeff, where people come in and, you know, are just like, hey, I'm going to sell to dentists. But these pictures are terrible. I will admit that. They were taken before the smartphones came into our life. So yes, I have been doing this for a while, but the picture where I'm pulling charts, we hardly ever see that anymore because most practices are paperless, but I was actually pulling charts to do follow-up because I was a treatment coordinator for many years in a big perio and implant practice. So one of my favorite jobs in the world was doing case presentation for big perio and implant cases. And I love talking to patients about their treatment needs, you know, helping them to build trust with the practice so they'd move forward. It often involved a lot of extractions and surgery, and they were nervous and scared. And so I loved helping to walk them through that process. So I always used to say the fortune's in your follow-up. So you build trust with patients and encourage them, you know, to get healthy. And I loved that. The picture on the right, where I have the pink circle around my head, was my dental family back in the day. That was one of our surgical assistants, and then the office manager and another admin team member that were there. We were all just kind of socializing at someone's house. So
that's an epic vest.
I know, it's so classic for the time. So anyhow, yeah, so I'm a dental person at heart, from Colorado, like Jeff said. So when I'm not out lecturing or at my desk, I love to be outside in nature. That's my husband and I in Aspen at the famous Maroon Bells in colorful Colorado, Jeff. Colorful Colorado. And these are my fur children. I'm a dog mom and a cat mom. That's Winifred with the sweater on, and then Ariel, our cat, and kind of the snarky look she made when we brought our dog home. And she was.
Say the dog's name is Winifred?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Freddie for short.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So you asked, I think you might have asked one of these questions, like what are the common challenges that either keep dentists stuck or prevent them from moving forward? Time and time again, we see this. It's either number one, they're short on time. They just don't have the time. They're too busy, because we have practices that we work with that have fairly big teams with plenty of millennials on it that could, you know, do very well with social media, but they've got other areas of the practice that they need to be focusing on. So they don't have time to handle social media. Or they may not have the interest. They may just say, you know, we know social media is important. We like to scroll through things, but we don't have any interest in learning about social media strategy, you know, thinking about how we can use our images or video to attract our ideal patients. Like, it's just not in our interest lane. Or they may not have the skill set. They just are having some challenges getting familiarized with social media or technology or what have you, so they need assistance in that way. Have you seen any other challenges, Jeff, that you would add to this?
Procrastination.
Procrastination,
Being honest.
Yeah, analysis paralysis sometimes. Yeah. So those are the common challenges. So what do you do? What are the different options that exist? Well, there are practices that are doing social media themselves. They're doing an awesome job with it. I see a lot of dentists that are doing their own social media marketing and communication, which is amazing. Some practices are fully outsourcing, or there's a blend in between. So let's look at some examples. Jeff, you asked me, like, what do I think is the biggest like faux pas, or like what makes me cringe? It's this type of generic content and this particular graphic. Oh my gosh, one of my team members was like, I'm gonna gag if I think about that. Like, don't show me that picture because it makes me, there's another similar graphic too, where it shows a swimming pool and says like, this is the amount of saliva you produce in a year. Like, I don't know anyone that would be attracted or drawn to that image. And it is absolutely in no way helping your practice to draw in your ideal patient, to help you to promote more of those procedures you want to be doing more of. If you want to be doing more clear aligner therapy or more dental implant therapy or smile makeovers, this type of content is not helping at all. So this is what makes me absolutely nuts, Jeff, because I feel like it not only is not helpful, but it actually is hurting the practice. Because what happens when you share content like this, and these are actual posts that I pulled from different practices. And what happens is, because these types of posts get zero interaction, zero engagement, when we've seen the statistics behind this, what happens is Facebook and Instagram look at these statistics and say, you know what, doctor, nobody is into you, so we're not even going to show your content to anyone anymore. So your reputation with Facebook and Instagram actually tanks. And there is good news. There's a way to turn that around, and I'll show you how in just a minute. But what we want to do is avoid this type of content. This is an actual visual that I pulled from a practice. The text that was with it, Jeff, said, "Getting older, you need to come in for your dental appointment." I was like, oh my gosh. Well, Freddy Krueger needs to come back for his sweater, first of
yeah, it
all.
doesn't cook that.
And then, I mean, that is just not going to motivate anybody. So, and plus it was even a grainy image. So let's look, I call this, and no offense to the dollar store whatsoever, but this is all, you know, some examples of the lowest end free or really cheap content that you could be using that I think is actually harmful to your practice. So let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum, fully custom content. So this is a practice we've worked with for many years. This is actually one of their RDAs, their registered dental assistant. And she was pointing to something else at their wall, but what we did was took one of their patient testimonials and just plugged it in there. That's actually the dentist and his wife that's in the other image in the background. So it's really highly personalized content with your team. We can use different tools, which we can talk about at some time, like Canva. Canva is one of our favorite tools, and it's amazing, and it's really easy to create graphics like this. So sometimes we'll look at practices social media and they're like, it's not helping us at all. And we really want to, you know, let patients know that we're welcoming new patients. So we can do little things like this based on the practice's goals to help to customize content just for them. And then this is another aspect of a really well done custom social media, because you can see here all of the colors are going to be branded in the practice brand colors. So all of the graphics that we create are specifically customized for that specific practice. So when they do land on your website, it's this really cohesive, beautiful brand that where everything is really streamlined for the patient and really attractive for the patient. So whatever it is that we create, we make sure that it's utilizing similar text and colors for the practice. Any questions or comments about that, Jeff?
No, not so far.
Okay. And then here's some examples from our Connect 90 clients, actually. These are examples of what we do with this program, and I'll explain a little bit more about how it works. But what we do is we help practices out that usually say, we don't have ideas, we're not really sure how to word things, or we have the perfect person on our team, but they seem to be, you know, stuck when it comes to the verbiage or ideas. And so what we do is provide a good framework for you. Every month we provide a framework with different text and image suggestions, and the practice plugs in their own images and personalize it with their phone number or their websites. And so these are all examples of what our clients have done to personalize the content that we suggested to them, whether it's sharing about Heart Health Month. In this particular image, the doctor shared a picture of his mom and blended it into the topic. So it really helped to personalize it, and the patients loved it. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So it takes a topic like, you know, gum disease and Heart Health Month and actually makes it interesting and engaging for patients. And then the example that you see in the middle, we provide that suggestion, and we suggest to practices, you do think about your goals on a consistent basis. So if you want to attract you know, a certain age range of patient or a certain type of patient, you have to let patients know about that consistently in your content. They plugged in a picture of their reception area. It looks beautiful and clean and modern. So your patients are going to recognize that are already a patient. It's going to help to draw them into the post. And then the other example from Katoomba Dental Center is when we remind practices to make sure they're interacting with other businesses in the community, whether it's giving a shout out to a local restaurant or coffee shop that you enjoy, or a nonprofit that you support. So we're really working to personalize your content and making it more strategic and thoughtful and intentional, but also making it really easy and saving you time. And so if we look at some of the examples that we just saw, the really ugly, I could say that, kind of a dollar store level that's like free or cheap content is at the bottom of the spectrum. And then the highly branded content that's highly personalized and really is full service and full custom is up the other end of the spectrum, the opposite end of the spectrum. And then where Connect 90 fits in is right in the middle, where practices would do social media with us. So we're providing a framework, the ideas, and the scheduling tools. So we have a calendar that looks like this. It's an online calendar where every month, right now it's the end of the month when we're recording this. So we've already got our calendars ready for the month ahead with content ideas for you for Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, because you could also be posting content to your Google My Business profile. You should be. And what you do is you go in and say, this post seems interesting to me, this post does not. You can use the content any way that you like. We provide graphics and visuals for you. But we highly encourage you, and we actually show you where you can plug in your own photos or video snippets, and show you also examples of what some of our other clients have done, so you have some inspiration and guidance. Any questions, Jeff?
Yeah, I would add, I'd highly encourage our clients to either consider this service or at least some sort of scheduling tool. I mentioned this the other night during a presentation, but if you have posted like a great video or picture on some platforms, and then you realize, oh my God, I put the wrong phone number in there by accident, but it's already got an engagement and traffic, you can comment on it like amateur hour and tell people, oh, this is the real phone number, or you can delete it and start over because you can't edit the video or the image in some cases. So scheduling this out allows somebody else to double check it. And this is much more efficient, especially for people who are concerned about the time commitment. This will allow you to batch your time, so you can just put your social media hat on and plug away and not have to like get into that zone on a moment's notice, because otherwise we're looking at like 20 or 30 like instances of trying to get into that creative mode of thinking. And this just lets you batch it all and do it all at once. I think that's a much better use of your time if you're a dentist or working in a dental office.
Yeah, it really is. And we've used this type of a system for years and years and years. So I can tell you it does work. I mean, I own this business. I've grown this business internationally. And this is what we use for my own social media. So it allows you to sort of look at the month ahead and make sure that you're including those topics that you want to draw more of into your practice. Right now, timely topics, even like making sure you're letting patients know about your new protocols, not just once, but a few times. If you want to let patients know about your teledentistry or about the fact that you're offering any sort of touchless online payment, maybe you're celebrating someone's birthday, or any sort of particular topic, you want to make sure that it's in your calendar. You can look ahead and make sure you're reminding patients that their insurance or benefits are running out towards the fall. So if you're not planning ahead, you're not going to be strategic. The nice thing about looking at all of this at a glance also is that you can start to look ahead and say, oh, these are the posts that I want to make sure that we're boosting. So remember when I mentioned earlier, it's a pay to play. So even if you're only applying $5 or $10 to a particular post, it's going to be a total game changer for you. And in our Connect 90 program, we let you know which posts we recommend you boost based on all of our experience and what we've seen is really engaging for patients. So it's also nice to be able to go back, Jeff, and sort of look And hold your social media manager accountable. If there's like nothing on the calendar, you're like, oh my gosh, we didn't post anything last month, you know? But you should be able to look at it and see, okay, this is a month at a glance. I can see we made posts to Facebook, to Instagram, to Google My Business. And it really is just a great visual, and it takes everything out of your head and allows you to be more effective and efficient. So who is this type of a program the best fit for and not? So of course, if you're managing social media on your own and you're like, we've totally got this, we're doing awesome, maybe we just need an hour, you know, of coaching. Like I said, reach out to your Great Dental Website's marketing coach for that. But if you realize that you want someone, you know, who's going to be able to help you consistently with different ideas, with inspiration, with these scheduling tools that are going to save you a tremendous amount of time and help make you more effective, then you want to look at a program like Connect 90. If you're someone who's interested and motivated to do social media, but like I said, you just need a little bit of guidance and inspiration. Our motivation for creating this program was that it's more affordable than investing in a fully custom service. So it's a great program for someone who needs that guidance and wants, like I said, it takes a village these days to be able to make this successful. Who it's not a good program, a good fit for, is someone who feels they really need intensive training. If they're like having trouble just logging into Instagram, or they can't really figure out how to get started with you know, a Facebook boost, they just don't really understand a lot of the way that these features work, and you need a lot of hand holding, then you may want to invest in some one-on-one training first. If you're someone who doesn't like social media, you wouldn't believe it, Jeff, but sometimes doctors assign a team member and the team member comes to us, they're like, I hate Facebook. And you're like, okay, it's probably not going to be the most successful tool for you. So in that case, you might want to outsource it.
It's not gonna go well.
Yeah. So we're just super excited about this because for years we wanted a program that would be affordable and help practices to be effective on a monthly basis with inspiration, but highly personalized content. In my opinion, if it's not personalized content, you know, you may as well almost do nothing, which you can't do. You have to do this. It's a part of your communication. It's a way to show patients that you're current. And there's so much opportunity for you there, especially right now, because we've got all these people that have not been active on technology and on social media that have been very active on it. So now's the time.
So we do have one question. Andre asked, how would you use LinkedIn, and do you use LinkedIn? And I'm assuming he's presuming to ask that question as a dental practice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is growing with different opportunities, different features that they have available. So I think if you're a specialist, there's very unique opportunities there for you. So I would highly recommend using LinkedIn if you're a specialist. And by the way, Connect 90 also works with LinkedIn and with Twitter, if that's your thing. But for a general dentist, I would say at least set up your profile there. And be careful, because as a doctor, you're going to get a lot of salespeople that are going to try and connect with you to sell you things. But you can also create a company page for your practice if you wanted to. I don't think, you know, beyond setting up your profiles there, it's worth an investment of your time and resources like you would get a benefit from on Facebook and Instagram.
That makes sense, and especially for the specialist. Rustin asked about Alignable, and I've gotten lots of invitations to join Alignable. I still haven't done it. I first viewed them as spam, but I don't know, it may be a legitimate community at this point. What are your thoughts around Alignable?
Oh my gosh, you're going to think this is so funny, but like I said, it takes a village, and I certainly will not say that I know the answer to everything, but I actually just emailed 2 of my dental colleagues today, and I was like, are you guys on Alignable? Because I keep getting invitations and I'm just deleting them. So I don't know, you know, we'll have to put that question out for our greater audience and get back with you and follow up with us, because I have not used it personally. So I hope I'm not missing out on a bunch of referrals there.
I haven't either, but no one's ever said I've never gotten anything other than an automated invitation to it. No
Yes.
one's ever asked me if I was unalignable. I've never heard her. That's the first time that question that anyone, a human being, I'm assuming that Rustin is a human being, has ever asked me about alignable. So I'm hoping he's just ahead of the curve.
Yeah, that's a great
And
question. We're on the same path there, Rustin.
yeah,
But I'm sorry, I can't.
I guess I would ask the audience and to Rustin, are you guys, is anyone already using alignable? If you are, mentioned in the chat, and has it been productive for your practice? I'd like to hear feedback from the audience if that's the case. Maybe I'll take a peek at this, but no, I haven't used it at all.
Your
Any other
coworkers are barking.
you have for Rita? We'll give everybody a minute to type if they're adding
While
some.
they're typing out, I did just want to add and let people know, because this is a common question with Connect 90. We will start off with a discovery call and just talk a little bit about your needs. And if we find that it's something you're interested in, it might be a good fit for you. We're offering right now we're offering a 30-day complimentary trial. Also, there's no setup fees involved, and it's a month-to-month, so there's no long-term contract that you are locked into. So we really want to make this work for you.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. We have another question from Robert Clay. What are your thoughts on sharing content you see on other pages for a dental website? Original content is probably best, obviously, but you see a graphic or a joke or a video, et cetera, or a meme that you like. Should you share it directly? Which would also be sharing with another page's info or out of control. Do you need to download and credit, or do you need to not credit? Are there any rules around that?
Yeah. I'm so glad that you asked that question, because it brings something else up that I wanted to mention. So first of all, I think if it's a meme that is all over the internet, you're probably fine to use it without crediting. Someone else. So I think if you do a quick search and you can see that, it's everywhere, you're probably fine, without crediting someone. It's always etiquette to be able to credit a source of the visual of the graphic. You do want to be careful about certain visuals that you're using, like don't take screenshots just from the internet and use them because they might be copyrighted images. There's plenty of different copyright-free places where you can get images if you need them. For example, there's Pixabay, there's Unsplash, there's probably others, but you don't want to just pluck any image off or make a screenshot of it unless you know that it's copyright-free. So hopefully that answers that question. I did want to say, something that you have to be careful about, Jeff. There's a service that I saw recently and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. So I think if you can share content from your website and link back to your website frequently, that is awesome. I love that. I think it's really important. There was a service I saw recently where they were charging dentists for content, and essentially, Jeff, they were just plugging in links to like all these random places like WebMD and like Healthline and all of these just random places, where basically patients are going to click on that link from your profiles or from your pages, and they're going to end up going into WebMD or, Healthline or whatever else it might be. And there are going to be tons of clickbait articles there. Your patient is going to be gone, or wherever that lead was that was looking at your content on social media is going to be gone. And so that is not helpful. That's actually going to hurt your reputation with Facebook and Instagram, or Facebook, I should say, because you're just clicking on links that are causing you to leave Facebook. So I don't know if you've seen that, Jeff, or not, but that actually I feel like is just just robbing the dentist and just terrible.
Yeah, I haven't seen that service or heard of it, but that doesn't seem particularly effective. I would probably encourage clients to, if there's a great article on WebD, well, answer that on your own website with an FAQ or a blog post and just kind of give your own take on it. If you feel like it's that important to share, don't send people elsewhere. Use your audience for, and keep them inside your fold.
Yeah. I mean, on occasion it's fine, but this was like constantly, like, 7 days a week, they would be posting links to like all these different places. It's just. Yeah.
It's just kind of like a weird public service that you're paying for, and it's not helping you. Yeah. I wouldn't go for that if I was a dental practice. Looks like no other questions so far. Any other closing thoughts? Looks like people can find out more at ritazamora.com. If you're a client of ours, just ask your account manager. And sorry, I think I spoke over you. What were you saying?
I said orconnect90.com.
Orconnect90.com. And if you're a client of ours, just ask your account manager. They can get in touch with Rita too. Any other questions last minute from the panelists or anything else you wanted to leave us with, Rita?
I don't think so. Hopefully we can do this again. There's so much more we can talk about.
Oh, anytime. All right.
Maybe in person one of these days.
Yeah, well, whenever we're legally allowed, I guess. We'll have you in the office. We can do it live. All right, so no more questions. I think I'll close it here. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting and hit the record. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.